Bennett Rink. I'm the executive director of the Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater, and it's my great honor and privilege to be speaking today with Ronald K. Brown, artistic director of Evidence, a dance company. Evidence is performing at the Tarrytown Music Hall on October 21st, and we're having a conversation today to hear Ron's perspective as the company prepares for the performance. Great to see you, Ron.
Great to see you, Bennett.
I've been a fan of your work for probably 25 or more years, ever since I saw one of your pieces on Ailey 2. I think it was our second company, and then um, so many pieces you've done for the main company, Grace and Dancing Spirit, and so I'm excited for the performance at Tarrytown Music Hall.
We are too.
I would love to just hear, and I'm sure the people who are watching would also be interested. Like, what was your first exposure to dance? How did you first become interested in being a dancer and a choreographer?
I was, my mother told me I was one of those kids that would not sit still. Music came on with a commercial in the house or in the grocery store. I was always dancing. And so she just took me to places for creative movement. I was there when I was around 8 years old. And mommy, there's 90 girls. There wasn't, but I was only boy. But I just always loved dancing. And then I went on a school trip to see the Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater when I was in the second grade.
Wow.
Right. And you have these education programs all the time. And so I went home and made a dance with the chair. Like, okay, make a dance about God and people in church. So Mr. Ailey put this thing in my brain that I could choreograph.
And here you are, all these years later with a world-renowned dance company of your own, and you chose to name your company Evidence.
Yes.
So I was interested in knowing, what did that mean then, and what does it mean to you now?
The first concert for Evidence was in June 1985. It was kind of around the time I was starting the company. And so I'm like looking at, so what is the dance scene like? And so I saw this dance, physically beautiful, but there was this kind of aloofness, right? Because they're trying to find the freedom in their body, but absent of emotion. So I was kind of confused. But this modern dance, what is it? Other people were telling stories through dance, but this dance that there was like no story and no emotion, I was really confused. I think I want to start a dance company because I want people to come to the theater and see real people on stage. And so I want a dance company to be evidence of the human condition and a representation of family and community and ancestors, and to do that on stage with stories. And so that's why I named the company Evidence, because I want the company to be evidence of who we are.
That's beautiful, and it resonates today as much as it did in 1985.
And when I started the company, I believed that I had to make a space for evidence. And I'm so glad that I did. It's still as important to have real people on stage in 2023.
The other thing that I've always been so struck by in your work is your way that you use music. This tends to be kind of one of those questions that you probably get a lot, like, so what comes first, right? The music or the dance, or is it does it all happen together?
I think the process is me, I get an idea for a piece, and then I start to write down images that I think belong to that particular piece. So then I look for music to help me dance out those ideas. And so that's why the range of music is always so wide. My mentor and composition teacher, Bessie Schoenberg, she challenged me. She said, "Oh, I know you like these collages of music, but I would love you to work with one composer." I've done that quite a few times, but for the most part, I think because the movement styles are from, there's such a range of what I'm calling on traditional dances and contemporary dance. And so because of that collage of movement, I think in my brain, this collage of music also makes sense. It's the idea, the images that come first, and then I look for the music, and then I try different pieces of music.
And to what extent do you respond to what the dancers are giving you in the studio? Do you come in with a fairly sort of set notion of what you want the dance to be, or does it sort of is it impacted by what you're sort of seeing from the dancers as well?
So this is the beautiful thing about what I enjoy about choreographing. I have ideas in music, and for the most part, I don't come into the studio with any steps, prepared to kind of audition dancers. And so I come in with some material there, but then I want to choreograph on the dancers in the space. so that we're coming to it at the same time.
Just in looking at the ways that your company has been described and how you've talked about your work, the intersections between art and social justice. Can you talk a little bit about how what's happening in the world affects or impacts your artistic process?
Folks, us, people, we
Yeah.
need to be connected to what's going on in the world. So we're not operating in our own silo, in our own bubble. Since the work is about who we are in the world, it has to be in response with consideration for what's happening in the world. And so it's already essential to have that connection in the work because we want people to come to the theater to see dance in theater. And so it has to be something that is important to the artists that they share with the audience that's coming, and hopefully there's I call it a conversation that's kind of heart to heart or spirit to spirit. I see a lot of dance, and I don't want to go to the theater and see that people can dance. We know they can dance, right?
Mhm.
But what are you doing with those gifts? I think it's part of our role as artists to reflect on what's going on in the world and then have a conversation with artists on stage and audience members.
Can you tell us a little bit about the three pieces that you'll be presenting at the Terrytown Music Hall and what the audiences have to look forward to?
The first is an excerpt from Upside Down from a larger piece called Destiny, music by Umu Sangare and Fela Kuti. And Upside Down is
Mm.
basically a metaphor for when your life is upside down because we have kind of lost direction. The thing that brings the community on stage together, it starts with this premonition that someone in the community is going to die. And so we don't know who it is, but that premonition and that loss, that grief brings the community together. The pieces I love, and I think it'll be a celebration of life for the people who come see it in Terrytown. Then there's a duet on the program called March that is from 1995. And it's a duet set to uh, selected speeches from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and music by Bobby McFerrin. We just did it in New Orleans, and someone in the audience said, "So, is this new?" And I said, "No, because it basically speaks about the value of a man's life, a man or woman's life in this country." And it says in the text, even if you are healthy, your life is not valuable in this country. You could still be, your life could still be in danger. And she's like, "Oh, I thought you made it now." I said, "No, no, no. It breaks my heart that this thing is still true." In New York, we did it once, and an elder came up to me and said, "No, the speech is so strong. It doesn't. You don't need to dance to it." I said, "No, no, no. I wanted to dance to it, and yes, they go together for me. The
Mhm.
message is strong and valuable, and now you have this dance also to grab you by the heart." And so, I love that we're doing it in Terrytown. And the last piece on the program is Grace, the very first.
Oh!
Hey, very first thing I put on the Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater in 1999 when Miss Jamison, Judy Jamison, called me and said, "Ron, I want you to put a piece on the company." I was like, "Wait a minute." The boy who was afraid to take dance classes, but started choreographing because he saw the Ailey company. How did I get here? And so Grace came to my brain. And because Mr. Ailey loved Duke Ellington, I looked at Duke Ellington's secret concerts and found all these versions of Come Sunday. I knew one version by Jennifer Holliday, but then I found this one version with a man singing, Jimmy McPhail, 1965. I said, okay, I think that's it. And the song says, "Lord, come down and see your people through." And so I wanted the person answering that call to be a woman. How beautiful if that representative coming down to save everyone was a woman. And so
Mm.
that was the beginning of the piece. And so Upside Down, March, and Grace.
It's gonna be a phenomenal program. I so look forward to being there, Ron. I hope that everyone watching will also come on October 21st. You're giving us a beautiful gift through your work and your company and your dancers. So thank
Thank
you,
you.
Ron, for everything.
Recently, I was reminded that when God gives you a gift, it's your job to give the gift.
Mm. Yep,
That's what I've been trying to do for almost 40 years.
it's remarkable. And I've seen Grace as you know, from its original premiere and through the years, I've seen your company do it. And it's just one of those works that leaves you inspired and moved every time. So it's going to be phenomenal, and the other pieces as well. So looking forward to a great evening.
Thank you so much. I'm glad you're going to be there.
Yeah, wouldn't miss it.
A journalist called me once. She started off the conversation, she said, Ron, I'm an atheist, but when I come see your work and I leave, I feel so good. I feel so lifted up. I'm not telling you that you need to believe in God,
No, no.
right?
All right.
But if you feel lifted up, if you feel love when you leave the theater, I think I've done my job. And for me, God and love are the same. So,
That's
I
right.
think when people come, they will receive a message and hopefully they will be blessed by evidence.
Thank you, Ron. Great to see you as always. And I'll see you on the 21st.
Thank you so much, Billy and Gigi.